Hi, I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 44 years. I'm going through the lessons again this year, asking Jesus to clarify for me, and then I write from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're looking at the last of the first review lessons, and this is lesson 60. Paragraph 1, Lesson 46, God is the love in which I forgive. God does not forgive because he is not condemned. I start with this sentence because religions often teach that God judges us and can find us too guilty to enter heaven, and this cannot be true. God does not condemn. He does not believe in guilt, and he knows us because he created us. What he creates is eternal and remains exactly as he created it. There can never be a situation in which we are actually guilty. The world does, the world was made a place where sin appears possible, so it seems we sin here, but here does not actually exist. It is an illusion. And so any sins are illusions as well. Bottom line, we're innocent. As we accept that we're all innocent, there's nothing to forgive. Just as God has no need for forgiveness, neither will we. The way we reach that awareness is by recognizing that God is the love in which we are forgiven and in which we forgive. One time when I was presenting a workshop, there was a disruptive student. At first, I felt frustrated by his behavior, but I know not to stop there. I want to truly see each person as innocent. I asked the Holy Spirit to correct my perception of him, and in doing so, my mind was healed of the idea that he was guilty. Because healing blesses both the giver and the receiver, I was at peace. Everything went smoothly, with little disruption from that point on. The more I practice this lesson, the more peaceful my life becomes. As he tells us, yet forgiveness is a means by which I will recognize my innocence. It is a reflection of God's love on earth. Paragraph 2, Lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. Sometimes it feels like you cannot forgive someone, maybe even yourself, or perhaps you believe you have forgiven. You said the words and thought you were ready, yet the grievances return. When that happens to me, I recognize that I still believe in the offense and have tried to forgive it on my own. I turn it around by admitting that I am wrong in my judgment, even if it seems I am right, even if I believe I have proof. Then I look at the situation with the Holy Spirit and trust the strength of God to forgive through me. It's such a relief. Recently, I was having trouble letting go of a fearful thought about a possible future event. I reminded myself that nothing was happening now and tried to stay present, and it didn't work. Soon I was fearful again. I tried to dismiss the problem since it was an illusion anyway, but that didn't help either. Illusion or not, it was my experience, and my experience of it was frightening. I attempted to solve it by turning it over in my mind, imagining better outcomes, trying to control what might happen, and of course, blaming someone else for my distress. None of it helped. Instead, the more I manipulated the situation mentally, the larger and more real it became. Finally, I saw I was doing this to myself. I would be perfectly happy and then deliberately reach for the fear thought. Seeing the insanity of that, I made a new decision. This time for God. I chose to trust the strength of God to carry me through whatever came and to teach me what I needed to learn. The relief was immediate. The fearful thoughts returned, but now understood that I was convincing myself to be afraid. It was enough to keep choosing again. I would trust the strength of God as often as it took. And he tells us, and I began to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. Paragraph 3, Lesson 48, there's nothing to fear. As I practice forgiveness, I understand more clearly why I want to continue. My life has become more peaceful. There's a lot more love in my heart. And so I see loving people where I once saw threats. When I continued forgiving those who seemed to be a problem, I realized the joke was on me. I was a problem all along. It was always a thought in my mind that causes distress, never something outside me. Now I simply forgive the belief in guilt wherever I notice it, in others, in situations, in myself. It has become a joy to forgive. When I recognize innocence in everyone, including myself, there's nothing to fear. I move through life in peace rather than anxiety. Once while traveling, I nearly missed a connecting flight. The ego quickly offered fear and someone to blame. I considered accepting it for a minute and then chose instead to simply let the situation unfold and see how the story ended. I made the flight peacefully, and if I had missed it, I would have peacefully handled what came next. Without judgment, there's peace, regardless of what appears to be happening. Paragraph 4, Lesson 49. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. This is another favorite lesson. I used to doubt it because I was not always aware of his voice. Once I asked the Holy Spirit, I accused the Holy Spirit of not speaking to me. The correction came quickly and clearly. I speak, you do not listen. I had to laugh because I knew it was true. If I truly wanted to hear only that voice, I would. Whenever anything arises, he directs me toward forgiveness and waits patiently for my willingness. And as he tells us, there's not a moment in which his voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I am walking steadily on toward truth. Paragraph 5, Lesson 50. I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by his love. As I open my eyes, his love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, his love reminds me that his son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision he's given me, I remember that I am his son. Isn't this just the most beautiful lesson? This is the kind of lesson I would write on a card and carry with me, repeating it throughout the day. It is encouraging and deeply loving. It reminds me that my Father loves me and I have nothing to fear and nothing to defend against. This life is not a punishment, it's a gift. Everything here serves my awakening. I have the lessons, the tools, and the guide who leads me through it. I'm not sustaining myself. Love sustains me. He leads me in such a way that failing is impossible. The journey unfolds gently when I'm willing to listen. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back soon with another reading. See you then.